Next up is our wildcard segment. So we have we've identified this category for ideas that don't quite fit into a box or into a region, but are worth surfacing because they are getting at some really hard to attack questions and problems within the industry. So we have some judges that we are welcoming today, including Lisa Katsaraki, Massimo Morin, James Lemon, and Timothy O'Neill Dunn. Welcome to everyone today. All right, so our very first startup today is Ilya Mikin from WiT. Ilya will have 5 minutes to present, and then we'll leave 3 minutes for Q&A when we'll invite all of our judges back, and also Sam George. So we'll invite you all back to do the Q&A session for 3 minutes after Ilya presents. If you could take your video down, except for Ilya, we will be ready to kick off as soon as you start speaking. Ilya, you'll have 5 minutes on the.
Thank you, everybody. Hello, this is Ilya, CEO and founder of WiT. WiT is a B2B solution, decentralized API layer for ID data for one-click checkout and check-in with real verified ID. And we are members of Decentralized Identity Foundation. Let me introduce our team. What is our vision behind WiT? This is our core management team. We know each other for more than 10 years when we met for a common project. My background is marketing and last 10 years in e-commerce in various directorial positions. I'm responsible for business development of WiT, and Roman is a technical co-founder with more than 10 years experience in online travel on CPO positions. We both have startup experience and 2 successful exits, so WiT is our new venture. Coming from online travel in e-commerce, we know the importance of the seamless, fast checkout for any online business, because every online business, including travel, loses about 50% of the customers at the checkout stage. There are online businesses with a simple checkouts, but many, like travel, where registration and checkouts are quite complex and long because they require real verified IDs. Customers have to create and update profiles at every travel service separately and also provide ID data at every step of the journey. And no wonder that 59% of customers are frustrated by the travel tech and booking process, according to the Statista. So it can't be done in 1 click easily. So our mission is to solve this issue and replace sign-on checkout with a seamless 1-click transaction. We identify customers automatically via external ID sources and process verified ID data and payment in 1 click to the travel service. So no sign-on forms, no ID verifications, just 1-click transaction. How do we do it? We created a top-level API layer that pulls the ID data and payment from the verified ID sources like digital ID, ID wallets, open banking, and others to identify the customer automatically at the checkout and processes to the merchant in 1 click. Once the first, that's how it looks. So we aggregate via API connection, the open banking, digital ID solutions, ID wallets, credit scoring like Equifax and the others. And we do it on the first time. So for the first checkout, we pull the data from the third-party sources, but after the first transaction, we save all the checkout data together with a verified ID on a customer device locally. So we create so-called local virtual wallet for the faster and cheaper transaction the next time. So 1-click checkout by definition improves conversion, and because ID is verified, it reduces the chargeback fraud, which is currently 1.6% in travel. Why do we think now is the best time to launch our product? Because as an API layer, we will grow together with the future growth of verified ID sources. ID wallets and open banking will grow more than 500% by 2030. And also decentralized identity market will grow more than 1,000% by 2028, according to the EU Council research. Last year, European Council adopted a roadmap for EU digital wallet based on blockchain, and we are preparing infrastructure for its launch. So our solution works both with the current Web2 ID sources and prepared to work with the coming Web3 identity solution developed by EU Council. Our traction and business model, we already developed an MVP and have 2 clients in pipeline. We charge 1.9 commission per transaction on average. By the end of 2024, we plan to onboard 20 travel merchants and get to $100,000 MRR. So that's a competition. Competitors are mainly focused on a simple checkouts in e-commerce, and also very few of them propose the decentralized management of ID, and decentralized management of ID is important when you want to grow geographically because of the GDPR compliance and similar personal data regulations in the other countries. We verified our idea both with users and B2B mainly, so we have a positive feedback. And as I said, so we have 2 clients already in the pipeline. Our team consists of 4 people, including CTO and developer, and we also have advisors from the travel and fintech industry. So currently we're in fundraising, 350,000 to roll out our solution faster in Europe and the US. Thank you.
Thanks, Ilya. Great timing. I'll welcome back our judges, Lisa, Massimo, James, and Timothy. Who'd like to ask our first question for the wildcard round?
Yeah, I can start.
I'll call on you. Oh, go ahead, Massimo. That's all right. Go ahead.
Okay, I cannot start with, oh yeah, the video is there. So I understand and I appreciate the solution when you have the first time, the person has to sign in, but when you go to Expedia, you go to American or whatnot, now you have your own account, you can actually bypass all these things because it recognizes all my credentials. Why should actually a company like Expedia or American use your solution instead of having their customers to create the account and then everything is stored and memorized for further use?
2 reasons for that, and even 3 reasons for that. One is that our ambition is to aggregate all the verified ID sources. It means that at the moment, that if we complete the integration of the listed ID sources, we will have 100 million of clients under our API layer. So these clients will be easily recognized at one-click transaction at the checkout. And if you take the analog of the payment, so despite many online businesses remember your credit card data and offer you to autofill it, still customers prefer one-click transaction via Google Pay or Apple Pay, wherever is possible. So that one-click transaction always wins. And therefore, with 100 million customers behind our API layer, we think that we offer these clients, 100 million people, one-click transaction, which is easier and faster.
Okay, thank you. Lisa, would you like to ask the next question?
Yes, of course. So what's your go-to-market? This is a fantastic space and we're going to see a lot of things happening, but it's already a very competitive space. So how do you plan on reaching out to your customer base?
Well, to the customer base, we go via corporate travel agencies. So as I said, so like already we started integration with the umbrella faces and the other corporate travel providers to offer the corporate travelers first the convenience of that one-click travel. So one-click checkout, one-click check-in with a real already verified ID. So that's our start at the moment, at the beginning.
Mm-hmm. Just one comment. If you're going after travel, especially if you're going after flights, you might want to rethink the pricing. Going for a flat fee might actually make more sense.
Yes. Yes, definitely we have a scale. So I just put it here, the average, but of course it's a different.
James?
Yeah, thank you. Great presentation. 2 quick questions. You've got time. I suppose one is my experience in travel is the payment opportunity happens at quite a different stage to the ID opportunity. So can you give me the examples where like it has to happen at the same time in one click? If I think about car rental, hotels, typically like one-click payment, brilliant, and then kind of ID happens later in the process. So I'm not quite sure I understand the benefit. The other was just a pricing question. Like it's 1.9% for everything. Have you kind of thought about blending. Obviously, Amex will charge you a lot more than that versus open banking, which is a lot less. So just kind of wondering how you're thinking about your margin in that 1.9%.
Yeah.
Okay, quick answer, Ilya. We're out of time, so if you could quickly answer those two questions.
Our final margin is 0.9%. So all the others is the external payment. We give the payment services. By default, we're using open banking, which is very cheap process. That's a quick answer.
Okay. All right. Thanks very much. Thank you, judges. All right. Our next startup in the wildcard round is André Sousa from trip.com, TRYP. Welcome to the stage, André.
Thank you, Kimberly.
Please.
It'll be Sam George.
Okay, Sam, sorry, that's my mistake. Sam, hi, welcome to the stage. Bring up your presentation, please.
Right, thank you.
And we'll move things along. My apology.
Okay. Okay, so I'm Sam George, COO. We are Kotozna, a guest experience platform for hotels. So our company is trying to solve 4 key challenges for hoteliers. So first, labor shortage. 70% of hotels in Japan, 98% in the US are suffering staff shortages while travel is essentially back. I think we all know that. Language barriers. So international tourists are back. Overworked staff are having to deal with complications involved with speaking different languages, and it's difficult to provide good experiences. Third, changing guest expectations. So COVID happened, 73% of guests prefer self-service now. And then finally, in the last 3 or 4 years, the explosion in local digital payment infrastructure. International tourists don't have access to this, right? Things like PayPay in Japan, Line Pay, any of these kind of applications. So existing solutions just really don't work. So on the left, we have something like, tablets, TVs. I'm sure everyone's seen this stuff. They're expensive, require frequent replacement and maintenance. When they break, someone has to come and fix them. They also have sort of stale features, and they're usually only available in a few languages, right? Maybe the local language and maybe 1 or 2 other languages. And what this usually means is that it forces the guests to do workarounds, right? So I was just in Riyadh on a business trip, and essentially throughout the hotel, I was using Google Translate on the menus or when I was talking to staff. So essentially it leads to frustrated guests. So our core product in answer to this is Kotozna In-Room. It's a multilingual digital concierge / digital index. Essentially, there's a few key features. First, it's a QR code goes inside the room. It's attached to each room. So it's high adoption, no app download. It offers real-time translation in 109 languages, so based on the telephone's language settings, and it has live chat. So it's a built-in live chat feature, which allows me to speak in English and someone on the other side to speak Arabic, and we can speak to each other. Through the application, you can do things like order taxi, room service, and a bunch of other features, depending on whether you have a property management system connection or not. It's a SaaS business model. We charge on a per room basis between $5 and $10 US per room, depending on the integrations and features. So we're in 250 hotels right now, 30,000 hotel rooms. We did survive COVID, so unfortunately we had the bad luck of launching around COVID time, but now we're at around 30,000 hotels, and you can see some of the brands that we're currently in. So just to give you a more concrete example of how this would work, from an operational perspective, at least, Alamahaina is a condo hotel in Okinawa. So 80% of the guests use In-Room when they check in, which leads to a 66% reduction in guest inquiries. And because of this feature and the other features in the application, we calculated around 2,200 hours saved per year, which is essentially 1 full-time employee just from using the application. So what we're trying to do is build a connected guest experience around this platform with In-Room as the kind of in-stay experience. We're building a pre-stay and around stay solution. So on the pre-stay side, we're utilizing ChatGPT to build a chatbot to do booking modifications, make bookings, and just answer questions about the hotel rooms. Also considering integrating that within In-Room. And then around stay, we have a patent on a QR card key. So essentially allows us to do 2 things. First, it allows us to distribute coupons to the hotel guests. which is obviously hotels are trying to find ways to monetize these valuable users so they can distribute coupons for things inside the hotel, or third parties like, I don't know, Tokyo Disney or something wants to put coupons in the application, they can do so. It also allows guests to make payments. So they can make payments inside the hotel, and for participating shops in the area, can make payments there as well, similar to something like a Tomorrowland wristband or something at a music festival. We think it's a big market. Our market we're targeting is Japan, Middle East, Southeast Asia. We think we're a $270 million company. How we've gotten this far so far is through an exclusive partnership with JTB, which is the largest travel agency in Japan. They have a dedicated sales team, a network of 10,000 hotels, and they operate in 100 countries. So essentially, this has assisted us in sort of a land and expand strategy through that network. We just signed a deal with a white label partner in Saudi Arabia, so week and a half ago, and we're launching POCs in Indonesia as well as Hawaii soon. We have an experienced team. So Ken Rigoto is the founder. He founded Kenko.com, which was one of the first online drugstores in Japan, IPO'd in 2004 and sold to Rakuten in 2014. As you can see, we have a lot of ex-Kenko people on the team, as well as Accenture, IBM, and myself from Agoda and Deutsche Bank, as well as a international team from 9 different nationalities. So we're also fundraising. What we want to do is essentially optimize Japan. So we're only in 250 hotels. There's 61,000 in this market. We think there's a lot of room for expansion. We want to build a direct marketing channel. So I think what I just mentioned is obviously it's a lot about channel partners. So we're trying to build direct, build out integrations. We think integrations are going to be a key part of our strategy, as well as build customer-facing teams in the Middle East and Southeast Asia.
Okay, so Sam, we're going to have to stop you there. You're over time. So we'll bring back our judges, Lisa, Massimo, James, and Timothy. Welcome back. And let's kick off with questions for Sam. I'm going to go to our dear Timothy O'Neill Dunn, since I didn't get to him last time around. If you have a question, Timothy, you can kick us off.
Yes, I do. So I was interested in this issue of local digital engagement with payment, because I think this is going to be a very long-term problem. So, for example, in India, where I've just spent 10 days, I could not connect with UPI, which is what everybody is using. And I suspect the in-country solutions are going to stay that way, that will actually prevent international travelers from engaging with the local digital payment system. So it's not your problem, but it's your problem to solve. So I'd like to know how you intend solving that problem.
I think in the long term, thank you for the question. In the long term, we actually have been exploring potential. I think it's not just us. I think that there are other companies exploring potential solutions with a banking partner. So we are talking long term. Maybe there are ways within the legal structure to partner with a bank, and maybe we could do something to provide international tourists access to the local payment markets. Okay, putting that aside, our immediate solution is the QR code card key, which once you have an integration to the PMS system, then essentially we can link everything back to the hotel bill. So the immediate solution is to just take everything and put it back to the bill. So then the guest just has to make one payment at the end. Now there are some complications in terms of, obviously there's some credit risk and things like that we're working out, but that is our immediate solution. We think it's the simplest to solve this.
Thank you.
Okay. Next question, James.
Thanks, Sam. I know some great payment solutions. We should chat sometime. But no, great presentation. Quick one from me. It'd be great if you could double click onto your integrations, because I hear what you're saying. You've probably got some PMSs lined up, but I'm guessing your system will get smarter if you can feed it with guest information and personalize. But I'm guessing also off the chat, people might be, raising problems, guest service issues that need to be dealt with. So how are you thinking about kind of plugging back into the hotel, not just PMS, but making sure that, housekeeping or security or whatever can be informed? It'd be great just to understand that.
But, sorry, I don't understand the question. Like, you're talking about what features are we utilizing, like to help guests through connections like personalization, things like that? Or,
so I'm guessing you'll get stronger with integrations, right? So I understand you're going to integrate to the PMS and get more information in, but let's say a guest actually has a complaint, actually has a problem, actually needs something. Like, how are you kind of then triggering something at the hotel that then gets dealt with, right? Otherwise, you're just an app.
Yeah. No, I understand. Okay, just a quick remark on the PMS side is that we're building our own integrations, but then we also have a partner who's building a middle layer that allows us to connect to multiple PMSs. Okay, so we're not just going around building our connections ourselves. We have this middle layer that will allow us to connect with a bunch of ones. Okay, so putting that aside, within the hotel itself, I think that the first point of call is the live chat. So like that's one of our kind of unique, this kind of I mean, if you look out in the market, right, like having the live translation of the live chat, right? So that's the initial solution for this. But then in the hotels, it's like ticketing systems, payment systems, all of these other systems that it is a challenge for us because those are all very individual and there's a ton of players there. So we essentially right now, our only solution is that, you know, we understand the workflow of the hotels and then we have to build those integrations one by one. So I think that's essentially what's happening right now.
Okay, thanks very much, Sam. We're out of time for questions. Thank you for your presentation.
Thank you very much.
All right. Next up is André Sousa from tryp.com. Apologies, André, we had a little order mix up there, but thank you for being flexible. As soon as you bring up your presentation, we will put 5 minutes on the clock when you start speaking. So
hello everyone, my name is André. I'm the CEO and one of the co-founders of Tryp.com. We are an AI-powered travel agency that creates dynamic travel packages. Travel has changed. So Brian Chesky said at Skift that 40% of people coming to Airbnb, they don't have a destination or date in mind. And I think that's a really powerful statement. 40% of people using Airbnb, they don't care where they are going or when they are traveling. So people are more flexible and more open-minded towards when and where to travel. But if you look into legacy travel solutions, this interface here is what you'll see most of the cases. You are asked where you want to go, exact dates, and you need to filter for a lot of data till you get the trip that suits you. And I always have that feeling as a consumer when I'm using these kind of platforms that I'm missing really great travel deals because these deals are hidden behind a lot of specific searches. So how can we create a platform that breaks this mold of wheres and whens, and it's easy to use, inspirational, and very, very fast? So we started tackling that challenge with data. So we connected with a lot of different APIs from Booking.com to Travelport, and we created a huge database of flights, trains, and buses. So then the next question is, okay, you have all of this data, but how do you create good trips from this data for your users? And our answer is trip score. So we created an algorithm that given any random itinerary, so let's create this route here, it gives us out a likeliness of conversion. That means if I push this itinerary, for example, that comes from the Netherlands to any random user in this location, I think based on pricing and a lot of different metrics that this itinerary is very likely or unlikely to convert. So that's what powers Tryp.com. But let me show you how it works. And I couldn't resist to do a live demo to you. So I'm going to go to our website, Tryp.com, and let's see how this thing works. So I'm in Copenhagen, and the engine is creating trips for me dynamically from this database that the engine thinks are very likely to convert with me as a user. And because flexibility is so important for new travelers, we have these features where the standard is anytime. But of course, if you want, you can say, I'm free to travel within these dates, give me stuff. And also the standard is anywhere, but you could always say, I want to go to a country or a region, and we'll create that for you dynamically. So what the engine is doing now is dynamically within these dates, creating trips from Copenhagen for users that can literally go to anywhere in this case. And very important because sustainability is so important for us. You can even click here on our sustainable node and you'll just be traveling by rail and bus. So just tapping into data from those suppliers like Flixbus. Any trip that you see here, I can click on it. And you will see that it's mixing very different suppliers. So all of this data that is in this graph database that I showed you in the image, it's being pulled on here. I can customize my trip by clicking CL3 alternatives, and I can add accommodation to get my full itinerary of 9 days through Belgium and Netherlands from Copenhagen. And best thing, I can reserve all of these with one click. So let's look into what are the results of this platform, bringing it to the market. We have been growing like crazy in popularity in TikTok and Instagram. In the last 2 months, we reached more than 0.3 million views in TikTok, and we reached more than 2.5 million Instagram accounts. And most of these people are Gen Z in Europe. So this easy way of booking and planning trips is becoming really, really viral in these types of platforms. And do you remember that trip score that I told you about? Well, we created an engine that, based on this trip score, pulls out what are the best packages that the engine has created and creates dynamic advertisement for them, for users in Meta or TikTok, bringing them straight to packages that are likely to convert. And based on these, our results have been average customer acquisition cost of $20 and an average revenue of $25 per trip sold. And all of these average revenues comes from commissions from our partners, ancillary revenues, and extra fees on the trip. So to summarize the results, so far, we have created more than 10 million trips to more than 1 million users, coming from more than 110 different countries. We are serving all of the world. And people are loving to use Trip.com. So in the last 12 months, we had more than 25% customer return. In the last months, we have been ticketing more than 400 tickets per month with a return on advertisement between 1 and 2. And every one of the last 6 months, we have been growing monthly 20%. This is the team that is behind this engine. In the first line, you can see the founding team. We are all very tech-centered and we love traveling. And also we surrounded ourselves with people that know a lot about the traveling space and people that know a lot about marketing. So that's all from me. We have raised our last round at a $9 million valuation. We have already raised $700,000 and our goal is to create the perfect advertisement machine. Thank you so much.
Thanks, André. Thank you. Okay, judges, please come back and we will invite some questions. Okay, Massimo, would you like to kick us off?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you for the presentation. I'm more interested in how do you perform the booking, and if somebody wants to make a change or cancellation, how would this thing work?
Yeah, so the moment you do a booking as a customer, what is happening is that we are sending a lot of purchase orders to the different APIs that we are connected to. So let's say you are booking the trip that I showed you with Ryanair and Flixbus content. In one purchase that we are receiving for you through Stripe, we are sending different purchase orders to the different APIs from these customers. Then after you book as a customer, you are assigned what we call our trip booking ID. And that is a single booking ID that connects all of the different PNRs and tickets in that system. So when you go to our managed booking, which is on the top right corner of our page, you can access your reservation, you can access all the data and you can manage the reservation. And we also have operators that are helping you out if you need to change something or if you need to cancel something. And we also offer protection on those cases so you can cancel a trip and get the money back.
Right. But if you cancel a portion, what happened to the remaining portion? Assume you were going from Denmark to Belgium and then Bruges, and then you cancel the Bruges portion. What happened to all the reservation downstream?
So what we do with our Trip.com flexible tickets is that you can cancel up to 2 days before departure, and you need to cancel the whole trip. And then you get 80% of the money back. And that's most cases. Rarely people want to cancel things mid-trip.
All right, next question, Timothy.
Yes, I got 2 questions. The first one is, are you legally a tour operator? That's my first question. And the second question really is, how do you account for the differences? I see that a lot of your stuff is European centric and Europe is different from the US. US is time poor and cash rich and Europe is time rich and cash poor. So if you could answer those 2 questions, I'd be much obliged. Yes. By the way, congratulations on the raise and the deck, very good.
Thank you so much. So regarding the first question, we have an IATA TIDS license, and we are also certified with HISA Guarantee, which is the package holiday certification body here in Denmark that covers for all Europe. So yes, we are certified to issue tickets and also to sell package holiday in Europe. Regarding your second question, so we have incorporated in our trip scoring mechanisms metrics that change things depending on your starting point. What I mean by that is, for example, try a trip, creating a trip from Portugal, from Lisbon, which is my home country. You'll see that auto-suggested are very, very different than if you create a trip from Denmark, because we already know certain consumer patterns. If you are from the US, you also see that the trips will be quite different from the trips that are generated here in Europe. So we are always incorporating mechanisms to make it more and more local and personalized to you as a user.
Okay, that is a wrap. We're out of time for questions. Thanks very much, André. Thank you, judges. Please also, judges, be mindful that the order has changed for the presentation. So when you're marking scores, just be mindful that you're checking the actual company name. Hi, Dasha, welcome. Okay, our next presenter is here and ready. Dasha is up and will present from Floqsta.
Yeah. Hello, I'm Dasha Kuksenko, CEO and co-founder of Floqsta. Imagine if you could always follow your travel passions and adventures with people you like. Imagine making friends for life. Imagine a cure for loneliness. Welcome to Floqsta, a socially responsible technology platform that is designed to bring people together for travel. Those of you who have been on dating apps in recent times would immediately recognize a very famous swiping move here. Swipe to the right, that means you like it. Swipe to the left, you pass. Our users fondly call us a Tinder for travel. Indeed, we find best travel companions for you using behavioral science and artificial intelligence technologies. Our purpose is to create meaningful, safe, real-life human connections through travel experiences. Young generations, which is our target market, prioritize travel. They want to travel more, but they often don't have friends who have got similar travel interests. And even more often, they don't know how to make new friends. So our solution to that problem is a platform that brings together like-minded travelers and enable them to travel together. We are Floqsta, and we have created a unique concept called a flock, which is a group of like-minded and socially compatible people that are linked to a travel opportunity. We create those flocks dynamically and proactively, and we let users to make their choices, get to know their team, and work collaboratively on their unique travel adventure. Now, you may ask a question, how we are able to create these compatible and enthusiastic groups of people. We work with behavioral science experts and power it with artificial intelligence. We use a range of technologies, but the heart of Floqsta is matching algorithms, which are using machine learning, which is continuously improving and taking into equation everything we know about the customer, their preferences, their personalities, and most importantly, their interactions with the platform and their flock. When you use an application, when you use an app, have a look at the compatibility score for the flock. The higher the compatibility score, the more engaged and aligned your flock is likely to be. We are unique in the market today. We saw an opportunity and a white space at the crossroad of travel, social platforms, and dating platforms. And what we do uniquely different to all of those players, that we find you perfect travel mates, we do it proactively, and we create compatible groups who collaborate to create their unique trips. Now, how are we gonna make money? Well, we create value for travel ecosystem. We have got enthusiastic groups ready to travel. We present them with the contextual travel offers, and we do that very early in the travel planning process. So commissions on booking trips, tours, and activities, and advertising from a broader travel ecosystem are going to be our major revenue streams. We're also exploring subscription for value-added features. Now, the most interesting fact you can take from here is that our research proved that young people are as likely to travel with online travel companions as to go on online date. And that makes 80% of the singles population. Using that and some other data, we estimate an immediately made available addressable market of 200 million young people Gen Z and young millennials, and that market is worth $5 billion in commissions and advertising revenue. We aim to secure 20 million of active users on the platform within 5 years horizon, making $500 million in annual revenue. Now, obviously, it is very critical for us to generate volumes rapidly. The platform needs to catch fire. We are going to do that by building dense user clusters, which are linked to travel interests and demographics. And that is supported by a range of consumer acquisition initiatives ranging from social media campaigns to viral effects. We went live in November 2022, and the main overwhelming outcome from our launch is the proof of demand. Over 50% of people say they need friends, they are ready to find friends, and 70% have a positive sentiment. When we were running active campaign, we were recording over 150 app downloads per day, resulting in 100 high-quality user profiles, of which 80% engaged quite actively with the platform and 50 joined Floqs. Our team is uniquely positioned to run with this opportunity. Across our core team members, and we have got 17 in the team in total, but between 5 of us, we have got over 100 years of travel, artificial intelligence, social media, and consumer marketing experience. Now, what I want to leave you with is that we are unique as a platform. We have got unique social matching algorithms, which helps to find perfect friends and perfect travel companions. We're proactively creating and we're collaboratively managing social travel groups to enable travel. And very importantly, we create healthy human connections through social travel experiences. We are raising 4 million in seed round to complete MVP development, which is built on top of 700,000, which we raised last year in pre-seed round.
Okay, thanks, Dasha. I'm afraid we're out of time. Thank you very much for your presentation. We'll welcome all the judges back. All right. Lisa, would you like to ask first question?
Of course. So Dasha, how do you plan on growing the community? I mean, for this to work, we need scale, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we are going to grow, as I mentioned, through dense clusters of users based on interest. We started with outdoor adventures and US market. We targeted those users to come to the platform, and we're creating content and right matches within the platform, and we will continue to grow. That's conceptually how it will progress, so that we have got matches for members within a particular cluster. Now, specific consumer acquisition activities that we are using and experimenting with range from social media to influencers to building image, viral effects, niche campaigns, alumni, clubs and groups. Some are more expensive, some are literally free, and we are balancing the mix to get an economical growth. But we are happy with the results in terms of the consumer acquisition cost we have seen so far from the initial run.
Thanks.
Next question. Timothy, you have a question?
No, James has.
Go ahead, James.
Hey, Dasha. Look, again, great presentation. I think it's quite an innovative space, and I can see loneliness being a big opportunity and great thing to solve for. Question really is around uniqueness. I think you probably gave a pretty simplified view of the competitive space. There's some really interesting people like kind of WeRoad. How do you make sure your content, your supply is going to be differentiated, unique, and the experience is going to be great?
Right, and you're absolutely right that there has been a lot of entries into that space in the last decade, which actually proves the demand. I guess two things which makes us unique. Firstly, from a competition in terms of what we do, we create connections proactively, which is nobody else does. We effectively mimicking, which is what dating sites like Tinder and Bumble do. So we engage. We know what users want and what their preferences, and we get them into the groups. So that's a significant difference from a competition. On the supplier side, well, our biggest advantage is that we get, when we build the community, that we get very early to the consumers in their planning cycle. As the presenter before me said, people don't know the dates or destination. They want to go to the places where they feel great and happy. And in our case, they want to go with people with whom they are compatible. And that's what we are gonna attract people to the platform early on, to meet friends who have got similar interests, and then they plan together. So that's long before they start researching their travel. And that's a benefit we are gonna offer to travel suppliers. And additionally, we have got right demographics, young groups ready to travel in the sizes 6 to 12. So for tour operators, that's a very interesting audience.
Thank you, Dasha. Thank you, judges. We are going to have to wrap up. Question time is up. And our next startup is Nate Poon from Avol Aerospace. Nate, if you could start your presentation, we'll put 5 minutes on the clock.
Great. Hey, everyone. My name is Nate. I'm one of the founders of Avol Aerospace. We're building autonomous electric aircraft to reduce the cost of air transport. So the problem that we're solving here is that air transport for logistics is extremely inefficient. If you're a FedEx or DHL or any major logistics carrier and you're transporting cargo through the air, this is what your supply chain looks like. You have multiple moving parts, you're coordinating at least 3 different vehicles, and then you have the extremely high cost of air transport. So one way to make this a lot more cost effective is to get rid of everything in between and fly directly between hubs point to point using an electric aircraft. If you do that, you can reduce your trip cost by over 50%, and you can reduce the number of delays that occur in transit. That's what we do. We're building autonomous electric cargo drones that can take off and land from a parking lot, and they're deployable at any major distribution hub. They carry about 1,000 pounds, they go 400 miles, and have about 180 cubic feet of cargo volume. So our competitors generally fall into one of 2 buckets. They're either eVTOLs like Mightyfly, or they're fixed-wing drones like Dronamics. The challenge with these guys is that they have extremely low cargo volume because they're essentially tubes with a couple of wings on them. That's a problem because to minimize drag as the aircraft goes through the air, you have to shrink the volume of the tube. And in logistics, when you're loading an aircraft, the #1 challenge is that aircraft reaches its volume capacity before it hits its payload limit. So for our aircraft, what we did was we designed an aircraft with best-in-class cargo volume, anywhere between 50% to 30 times the cargo volume of our competitors. And what that means is for our customers like DHL, they can fit more boxes into the aircraft, which means more revenue per flight. We're also operating more efficient aircraft, which allows us to drop our operating costs less than 50% lower than any other aircraft operating in the same role. So where this actually matters is, whereas DHL typically makes around 10% profit on their flights flying their cargo, if they ship their cargo using Avol, not only are we generating more revenue per flight by shipping more cargo, but we're reducing the cost of flying that cargo, which means that we can increase their profit per flight by 10 to 12x each way. That's significant given that their margins are pretty slim already. To stay ahead, we have a couple of competitive advantages here. The first being that we're vertically integrated. We operate our own aircraft, which allows us to not only protect the IP, but enables higher margins than our competitors. We also patent our hardware, and we have routing network effects where our network and our service becomes better with each node that we add to the network, allowing us to ship faster and at lower cost for our partners. Our business model is pretty straightforward. We operate an air transport service that delivers e-commerce hotshot loads between island airports. So our technology allows us to operate and charge less than 50% less than the competition at about 15 million short-haul flights per year. That's about $180 million in revenue if we only do short-haul flights. Obviously, our goal here is not just to do short-haul flights. Our goal here is to become the largest airline in the world, starting with these short-haul flights and leveraging our technology to carve out a significant portion of the global air transport industry. That's a $700 billion market with cargo and passengers. So we're starting with these e-commerce hotshot loads in lightly regulated areas, so shipping cargo between islands in like New Zealand and the Caribbean. We'll work our way up into more heavily regulated areas like the United States, before linking everything together with direct flights between any distribution hub in the world. So we've been alive for about 4 months so far. We have about 2 LOIs to begin testing in 2024 with ground force and emissionless. That's about $1 million contract value. And we have 2 routes, an 18-mile testing corridor into Phoki, New Zealand, which is about $2 million contract value, where we'll be replacing some of their ferry services. So we have a couple more LOIs in the pipeline. We have Crack Logistics, Mercado Libre, UPS, DHL, and some NGOs. We've been accepted by Skydeck and a couple of other accelerators that give us access to a massive corporate development network. And we're a small, scrappy team that knows how to do a lot with very little. So we've built 2 prototypes already, and we're currently building the 3rd, which has about a 9-foot wingspan. So the team here has a track record of building things that work. My background is I did my PhD in mechanical engineering. This is the 3rd company that I've built from the ground up. My wheelhouse is really mechanical engineering, manufacturing, and logistics. My co-founder, Matthew, is one of the leading experts on blended wing aircraft in the world. This is also his 3rd company, and he did his PhD in aerodynamics. And then we have Soren, who is the 2020 world champion drone racer, and he's built over 100 drones in his life. So pretty technical team that knows how to build aircraft. On our advisor side, we're more focused on business, from Zipline, Ground Force, and Xerox Park. So we're currently raising just under $1 million. Most of that goes into engineering, and this is kind of how it breaks down. We're aiming to raise up into phase 3 with options to oversubscribe into phase 4. So if that's interesting, I'd love to have you guys on board. Thank you very much.
All right, perfect timing, Nate. Well done. Judges, please come on back up on screen. And welcome back. Okay, who'd like to go first? I think, Timothy, we missed you last round, so do you want to kick us off? And then we'll go to Lisa and then James.
I guess I worry about you're way underfunded. If you compare yourself to the other guys, you know, Elroy's got like 9 figures in planned. So that's going to be a big challenge for you. How do you propose to scale is my first question. My second question is the certification issue, because that has proved to be a real long timeline problem. So my actual question is, what is your timeline for actually getting into production in scale? Because I think that's going to be a challenge for you.
Yeah, so we'll scale this just like every other 3PL company. Start with small, easy to do routes, hotshot e-commerce loads between island regions, a very niche market which is currently served by relatively small aircraft. And then as you start to demonstrate cargo loads along certain routes, your route percentage and tonnage along that route starts to increase, and that's how you start to scale a 3PL logistics carrier. So this is basically how every 3PL logistics company scales. With regards to certification, which is an important question, we're actually starting in New Zealand and other areas where regulation is very light, where we can fly and actually get our type of production certification within 3 years. And then as we start to grow, I mean, and get into other regions, we're already with the FAA out here, and their timeline is probably about 5 years for full type and certification and production certification for this aircraft.
Thank you.
Lisa, go ahead.
So do you feel like there's going to be specific use cases for the types of loads and specific types of products that will be more relevant for what you do? And does that impact the cost and specifically the per unit cost? Because clearly this is a cheaper way of doing things, but obviously you're going to need a lot more routes to serve the same volumes.
Yeah, so we're starting with e-commerce hotshot loads. So hotshot loads are loads that have to be delivered very quickly. They're typically the size of 1 to 2 pallets, pallets being 48 by 40 inches by roughly about 4 feet high. That's what our aircraft is designed to do. And so that's our niche entry point, because right now that market is basically underserved by helicopters and small aircraft. Small aircraft don't have the cargo volume. Helicopters don't have the cargo volume either. And on top of that, helicopters are very expensive. So this is a very niche market where we can hop in, we can deliver high quantities of cargo at extremely low cost and beat out what it amounts to like a premium small aircraft delivery service. This is actually critical because e-commerce is projected to grow with a massive with like a 10% CAGR over the next couple of years, which will drive our revenues.
Okay, thanks very much, Nate. And thank you to the judges. I'm afraid that concludes the time that we have available for the wildcard round, and it actually concludes the time for our global startup pitch competition. We have gone through 25 startups in the last little while, and it went pretty fast. So thanks everyone for your contributions, and thanks also to the judges who I know did all of the pre-scoring to narrow us down from the 111 applicants that we had for the program to the 25 that we saw today, and they have a hard job ahead of them in identifying those that will advance to the next round.